for 14 years. And during that time, I and increased happiness in my life. I hope that you will have the same or better experience. Today, I will be introducing this event's facilitator, but first, I'd like to give a brief introduction to this orientation session. If you'll direct your attention towards your screen, you'll see the first element is Satsang. Satsang is a scientific method whereby we may obtain peace, light, and love in our life. It requires no physical skill, spiritual accomplishment, or meditation experience to begin this practice. Satsang consists of two words, Sat and Sang. Sat means positive energy, and Sang means to be with or to be in the presence of. Thus, the word Satsang means to be in the presence of positive energy. The next element is meditation. Meditation is an important element of Satsang. When we meditate, we withdraw our consciousness from worldly objects, direct it inwards, and focus on a single thought. In doing so, our minds become calm and our thoughts become pure. Only then can we achieve higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. Inner orientation. There are two types of Satsang, outer Satsang and inner Satsang. An example of outer Satsang would be chanting or attending pilgrimages. When we practice outer Satsang, our behavior can be modified, but only through the practice of inner Satsang can we obtain higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. The Satsang that you will learn today is an inner Satsang, where we meditate in silence. Group session. This orientation is structured for group participation. When we meditate as a group, our focus is improved and our progress along the spiritual path is expedited. By regularly attending these workshops or this orientation, the benefits of group participation are amplified. Joy and inner happiness. All beings wish to experience joy. Joy is the eternal longing of the soul. When we practice inner Satsang, our inner happiness gradually increases, ultimately culminating in a joyous state which we experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Agenda. The agenda for today consists of 3 sessions: the informative session, the practice session, and the interactive session. During the informative session, we will be given a lecture about a Satsang topic, the founder, or some relevant spiritual topic. During the practice session, we'll be given instruction on how to meditate, followed by a period of practice. During the interactive session, you have the opportunity to ask questions, or there'll be a group discussion. And now I'd like to introduce the facilitator for today's event. He has over 40 years of Satsang experience. He's the grandson of Guru Maharaj. At an early age, he began traveling throughout India, spreading Satsang. And upon arriving to the United States, he and his wife continued holding Satsang for Satsangis. In 2005, he began to conduct online Satsang, and people all over the world were able to participate. He currently travels throughout India and the United States conducting Satsang, while maintaining his duties as a husband, a father, and an IT executive. Today, he will teach us a rare and ancient form of Satsang as taught by Guru Maharaj. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Sanjeev Kumarji.
Hello, everyone. Welcome and welcome back to, Satsang here. We have been in some recent sessions using videos which I recorded in September as just part of the whole learning process of what this is and what this is not, and just describing satsang a little bit before we practice it. So I think Yuan, if you can play the video for now, and then we can talk a little bit about that, and then I'll get into the instruction part of it and practice, and then we'll open up for some discussions as needed. So, Yuan?
I'm Sanjeev Kumar, and my grandfather, Guru Maharaj, Dr. Chaturbhuj Sahaiji, who established Ramashram Satsang Mathura in 1930, established satsang, a pretty unique guided meditation practice. Since 1930, he just opened up the doors for everyone and anyone who was interested or who wanted to get to the higher level of consciousness, and what I would call the state where light, love, and peace is pervasive. Let's talk about that. Sometimes I refer to as positive energy. Is energy negative or positive? Energy is a zero-sum game. Probably started there, but then there was positive and negative energy. Like ancient times, Maharishi Patanjali, when he started researching how we can achieve higher level of consciousness, what he realized was there are two energies operating within us, he observed. So what he observed was that there was a fast moving dark energy which was rapidly flowing downwards. And then there was also a subtle, slow moving, but positive energy moving upwards. So he found that there were this dark negative energy moving downwards and this positive but slow moving energy moving upwards. It's very interesting that progress, if you look even in material terms in workplace, climbing up the corporate ladder, and you would always see that progress is referred to as vertical, moving up or moving down. So he found that to move up our consciousness, there is a positive force that slowly moves you up, but that's usually very feeble and very slow moving. The dark energy is very rapidly moving downwards. So in the world, what we will find is that there are more people who demonstrate that dark, negative energy that's moving downwards, pulling down. So a lot of people come to me and say, hey, how do I follow this practice? How do I stay at higher level of consciousness, or even follow this method of meditation, or follow the guidance and do the guided meditation? Because most of the time I interact with people and I'm pulled down again and again and again. So does it really affect me positively is the question. So we need to understand that yes, those two forces or energies are within us. And then there is also a blend of this dark and more bright two of these energies. There's a blend. It's not totally dark and it's not totally bright, but it's a blend. And that blend also affects us. So at one point in time, one of these states, one of these three, is dominant within us. So sometimes when we close our eyes, we feel positive. Sometimes we're feeling that we're down in the dumps. And sometimes, it's ambition and it's like, I want to do this, and there is action orientation, which is part of the effect of the blend of these two energies. So the idea of meditative practice is to literally feed or enable or enforce this positive, upward moving energy to become stronger. And all meditative practices essentially do that. So that is why it is so important for you to follow a meditative practice, because otherwise you yourself are under the influence of the dark and negative energy, which is rapidly pulling you and others down. And that's what we see most of the time in effect in the world. But then any practice that you do to rise your consciousness, rise your awareness, helps make the positive energy, the uplifting energy to be stronger. So the reason I would like all of us to follow satsang or any other meditative practice which raises your consciousness and awareness level to be integral to your lifestyle, because that would balance, that will bring balance in our lives.
So this is a very interesting aspect, and you will see it. Like if you try to meditate, there will be days when you will almost very effortlessly get into, a calm, quiet, peaceful, refreshing state. And then there are times when you're not interested, very lethargic, you want to procrastinate, and so on and so forth. So that's the effect of these two forces on the polar ends. And then there is this third state where just because you are so charged up, when it's either negative, when the dominant force within you is either positive or negative, it actually doesn't drive that much action, because both of them kind of drive you, more either upwards or downwards. But this middle one, the blend, actually is where the action is. So you want the action and the positive and negative to be balanced, so that your action is more positive rather than negative. Which that balance is what is very elusive in life. But this is a interesting concept. I thought, the idea that this positive energy and the positive force exists, but is feeble, and you need to feed it, to make it stronger. And that brings balance in life. I think that's the essence. We can talk about this more after the session. So let's get into meditation. So it's guided in the sense that there is instruction up front, but then the actual meditation is in silence. And today, I think we will, so Callie, I think we want to have the music, but we will have the music for 3 minutes, and then so after 3 minutes, you can unmute, and then I'll announce before the music starts again. So we will have music for 3 minutes before, 3 minutes after. Usually it is a bit longer, but as Kelly is very sensitive to music, so today I think I'll announce before the music starts, both before and after the meditation, so that she can mute for exactly 3 minutes. And that way, the sensitivity issue doesn't come in the way. So now let me go into a little more specifics around how we will meditate. Number one, relaxed posture, which is very important because when the body moves, your mind moves with it. So we want to have about 20 minutes or so, the body should be still. So you're sitting on the floor or in the chair, but you want to stay still because bodily movement will distract the mind. And eyes lightly closed for the same reason, because the sensory input distracts the mind as well. So eyes lightly closed, relaxed posture. Try to keep your spine straight and chin a little inwards for better posture, but the prescription is just any relaxed posture which keeps your body still is fine. Now, the only thing that you ought to do, so we will transition in with music for 3 minutes, and then we'll transition out with music. But during this entire period of meditation, just think of this transcendental light that is here with us right now, and it's in front of you in form of light, and that light is entering your heart, distributing throughout your body, and you are becoming one with this light. If mind wanders away, bring it back. So mind will wander away. That's natural. So when mind wanders away, you realize that, then you bring your thought back to, so at this point, you're not thinking about your breathing. You don't want to think about anything else. You want to just observe this presence of this transcendental energy in form of light. And it's not far, it's right here with you. And that light is entering your heart, distributing throughout your body, and you are getting completely and totally immersed in this light. So basically, you are becoming this energy. So, and as mind wanders away, just bring it back. That's all. So, Kelly, we will start the music now, and then you can unmute after 3 minutes. And then I will instruct before the music starts again for 3 minutes. Let's start now. Okay, so usually the music starts at this point, but today, just a cue to Kelly that if you can mute for next 3 minutes, we'll have the transition out music start now. So we were talking about this positive and negative energy. And interestingly, when I watched The Lord of the Rings, what I observed was that in the first movie, there are hundreds, maybe thousands of these negative forces. And, you know, and obviously the positive, the elves are much, much, much lesser in number. The second movie, there are tens of thousands, or maybe, hundreds of thousands when it comes to the negative forces. And in the third one, the multiplication factor exponentially goes up, and there are hundreds of thousands of millions. And the number of, the number on the positive side is less, but still that's the winning side. So that's the interesting part, that, the force downwards may be, faster. We see more manifestation of that generally, but still this feeble but very strongly moving upwards positive force has its own way of improving things and uplifting and energizing. So on that note, let's open it up. So first, Kelly, how did it go? And let's stay with the grid mode, Yuan. I think let's just have the conversation. And Cecilia, any thoughts? Any?
It was easier.
Easier.
Yes.
So easier means better?
Yes. Easier means better.
See, to me, and I say this over and over, meditation should be effortless. And a lot of people continue to argue that, oh, it's not working. I have to like make an effort and I'm trying to do this and trying to do that. But I always maintain that, yes, it should be easy, it should be simple, and it should be almost like going back to a natural state where you have to unlearn some of the stuff that we have learned, which just keeps us in this not so, positive, not so calm, not so uplifting state that we tend to live in these days. So, okay. And this, I don't get the name. So D, is that your first time? So Kelly, I know you were thinking about others in terms of, coming out of, meditation with music versus a voice. Interestingly, sometimes when I call this guided meditation, I always think about it like a lot of the guided meditations are meditation with voice and with breathing. Since I have been practicing it, which is several decades, was always guided in the sense of, it always, every session has instruction in it. And when I look back, imagine like there are people who have been coming. We have satsangis which are in the third generation. And it's interesting that every session starts with an instruction, and it has, I think it has been like that forever. And it just tells me that this is how our mind is, that it has to be reminded again and again and again, just for even a very repetitive process, because we've just learned some things which we need to be reminded of again and again. So all right, so I think Dee, I see you unmuted. So how was the session? Any questions?
Yes, I found myself in a conversation trying to identify the light.
Yes.
Is it coming from above? Is it coming from below? Is it traveling up my back? Is it going down the front? Is it going from my head to my heart, or from my feet up to my head? Is it coming from the side? You know, what is the experience that I'm having? What is the physical experience? What is the mood? What is the temperature that I'm feeling? All these questions came up in my mind in a conversation I was having with myself.
Wow. And maybe Eddie, you can help me here, but couple of things that come to my mind. Number one is one of the things in this practice is to move us from this conversation into observation. So when I'm observing, and when I observe something, and let's say I'm in awe with the light when, in the dawn, the light, sometimes I look at the sky and it's just so beautiful. And the conversation stops. I'm just so stunned with this beauty. So it's, we have to get to that state, and that could get there with practice. So that's one aspect where the conversation needs to stop, and we need to start just looking at this presence of this uplifting energy, and this presence itself is so, I don't know what's the right word here, but it just, I am awestruck, or I am lifted to a point where the language, I have left behind. It's sometimes we do not value, or we undervalue the whole aspect of silence. Silence in itself is so complete and so powerful. So connecting to that silence is important. And then the second thing, which we just were talking about, was, the effortlessness and the almost like coming to this natural state. So when I say natural here, is like right now, I am actually sitting in a room with light, and I'm not really making any effort to understand, I know there is light in here, and I see things in this light, and that's, just coming to terms with that, in the sense that I'm not in dark, I'm in the presence of positive energy, and it's so good to see everything around me and connecting with these things. So I'll pause there. Eddie, maybe if you want to add anything here.
Yeah, I mean, the answer to the question is was given when you first started the session today. And you know, with the negative forces and how we must attach to the positive force. And so the explanation you gave was that through the Lord of the Rings, was it? I think you said that there manifested these 10,000 elves, right? So these are like 10,000 aspects, if you will, of this negative energy that's flowing downward. It's sort of the ship that we all jumped on, and it told us it was going to take us to a very pleasant place. And the winds blew, and we found ourselves here on the earth, right? And so it didn't turn out to be the paradise that we thought it should be. And this is what the negative forces do. And so we find ourselves here now amongst these 10,000 elves, and they manifest in things such as attachments, doubt, right? Riches, fame, and all of these types of things. And these are all aspects of that downward negative force. And so the way out of that is to attach to the positive light or the transcendental energy. And then all things will become resolved. It's very simple to say, but it in practice, right, it seems a little bit more complex, because in a sense it is. We're in that constant struggle with our mind, which is not calm yet, and it's not pure. And it has persuasive powers over the soul that's trying to escape, essentially. And each time that soul tries to escape, the mind says, hey, look, you don't want to give up these riches. You don't want to give up the fame that, this world can bring you. I mean, look at that person. They're in the newspaper every day, and the world follows them on Twitter. They're a famous person. You should stay here and experience some of that for yourself. And so now you go, well, I was thinking about going home, but now I'm having doubts. The light doesn't seem as easy to obtain anymore. And what is this light thing? I know I was told to just, do the practice and I'll get there, but I'm having doubts now. And so it tries to do whatever it can to bring you back to this world. And so the way out of that is to truly attach to that transcendental energy, as was taught by Guru Maharaj, because he actually experienced it many times over, that this is the way to go. And so that's kind of all we have to do, is stay steadfast with this method, and we'll eventually overcome the negative forces and rise to what we call the top of the pyramid, our very high state of consciousness.
So, Deborah, anything on your end? Oh, you're muted. You'll have to unmute first.
Now? Good.
Yes, yeah.
I think the person who was speaking last, they're speaking about chatter, the chatter,
Mm-hmm.
incessant chatter of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And can you find your way to use meditation as a tool to stop the chatter and just simply be? So in a way, what you are describing as assessing, you're like assessing the qualities of the light, and this is analytical. This is the monkey mind. This is the analytical monkey mind that wants, you want to have words and descriptions for everything so that you know what to do with it, because that's how we're made.
Mm-hmm.
So even the light, which is this nebulous thing it's beyond description. It's everything. It's nothing. It's beyond any description where you're trying to go, I would imagine. So that chatter is your analytical mind, trying to find its footing. So it knows something, it knows where we're trying to go is unnamed and unknown and vast and just empty and peaceful.
Wow. Wow. It was fascinating. You know, I think last time you did the same thing. It was like I said, I will record this because, see, this is coming from deep experience. The chatter, and I think that is a state in itself. And, you know, you are here because you want to go beyond that. And initially, it looks like it's not going to happen, or it's not going to work, or it's something that just doesn't come naturally to me. But that does not mean that in the third session, or you know, even on your own, when you do some practice, things actually, I have been practicing, or I've been in this for decades, and I can very sincerely say that none of the two meditations are same. And there are times which I cannot predict. Like, I had a satsang in person. That was probably in US the only in-person satsang we did. That was my grandfather's birthday in Southbury, Connecticut, November 5th and 6th. And that November 6th session, I don't even have words to describe how that felt.
Wow.
Because, you know, usually when I am sitting alone, if I am at level X, when I'm sitting with you all, I would say 10x to like multiples of 10x. It becomes automatically because of the collective energy and stuff. When I go to India, when there are thousands of people sitting in silence, I mean, I am not kidding you. And this is my personal thing. So it's just, I felt there were times when I sit on those sessions, I don't know, it's not a number thing. It's just that that collective energy is so effortlessly
I think you froze. He was frozen exactly at the point of enlightenment. Right?
to me.
Coincidence?
It's yeah, I don't know. But you know, I think that we are here in itself is, to me, a depiction of that we want change. That we think that there is, you know, there is higher awareness, higher consciousness that can be achieved. And my grandfather not only achieved it, he said, we all need to do that. That's it. It just, he said, every one of us, and it's not a priest, it's not a saint, it's not for a few. It's for everyone, because we all, if we are in a family, if we're working, if we're poor, if we're, you know, it doesn't matter. We all need to achieve this peace in life. We ought to. And we just need to figure it out. And then he also said, like, there are thousands. I mean, really, actually, there are thousands of ways to go there. You just have to figure out what works for you. So, so
What
Dave,
if peace is easy? What if it's easy to achieve peace? You know, I ask myself, well, I've got to be very careful if I don't know where I'm going, because I might not get there. So I know that words are not going to take me there.
no.
And with that acknowledgement, I fall back on my experience. What is the experience that I'm having? Am I experiencing peace? Am I experiencing anxiety? And so, like, my body gives me clues on that. The body is somehow an information giver, a source of information. Where there are no words speaking to me from any direction, at least the body gives me an idea of.
So if you don't mind, and I get where you're headed there. If I would, so what happened, there is a video that we will play next week. And I was just listening to it because I have to give it to the editor to edit a bit here and there. So the example, so I'm talking about Sat Chit Anand, which is the positive energy, the peace, and the joy. So that's 3 words. It's the target state of satsang. So the middle one, I have to describe. So I'm describing in the video and I'm listening to it. And so I just listened to it. So let me just take you there. So the thing is, chit is actually something that doesn't have a very, so man is mind. So man in Hindi is, is mind, but chit is more like a subconscious mind or an unconscious mind. It's the deeper I. So I, and there I'm describing it as, so let's think about the ocean. The ocean has tremendous waves on the top. And these waves can be very strong. They can be very destructive as well. And like in those waves, there is no peace. So that's how my mind is. But if you go deeper in the same ocean, and I was describing that, I actually watched a documentary where the researchers went way deep into the ocean, the same ocean, which is so turbulent on the top, is absolutely peaceful deep down there. And that's how we are. Our minds at the top, the chatter never stops. But if you transcend that, so if you transcend those, and there are other thoughts that are coming to me, which are kind of related, but I'll not go there. It's so the fact that deep in the ocean, so there is so much quiet. We are pretty much the same way. So we have to, so interestingly, so I actually have to go where I wanted to anyway. So it's very interesting that the mind or even our brain, there is the frontal lobe where, we think we are thinking and we are controlling our action. And only 5% or less than 5% of our actual decision making and control is there. The 95% of our work through the day is done through, reflex action. I'm driving. I'm not learning driving. I'm just driving. At that time, my conscious mind is not making a decision, do this, do this, do this. It's somewhere in the back there. So you have to go beyond your, conscious mind. And then if you go beyond the conscious mind, you cannot direct your subconscious mind directly. So you are saying that I want to listen to the body. Yes, fine. But once I am in deep meditation, I will come out of that meditation like when I come out of a good sleep, I feel, oh, I'm so much better. My behavior becomes better. I was like, wow, something is changing here. But when I am in deep meditation, and I mean deep meditation, which I don't know when it actually happens, because when I'm in deep meditation, I have no awareness of myself or my body. So Deborah, you are, you want to say something here. Oh, you'll have to unmute. Yeah.
I don't know, I can't speak for everyone here, but I don't think a lot of people know what that place is like. I don't. And I mean, not in an evil way, in a beautiful way, I envy you being able to access that place. And I'm here stumbling along on my path, trying to find that place for myself. At least I'm on the path, but I've heard it explained as, and it's interesting you use the word ocean, or that, let's say, metaphor of an ocean, that I've heard this meditative state, which you just are so lucky to just pop into, that as a deep dive inside yourself.
Yeah.
And I just, all I can tell you is that I'm working on it. I don't know how many other squares people are working on it, but that's all I got.
So, I mean, in meditation and what I have learned from my, my heritage in satsang is like humility is the key of all success here. And I nod and I talk about this more because I have observed things in others, some of the people I respect here, in my family itself. I'm amazed. Actually, I'm so amazed that one family can have not only multiple people who were at peace and who helped, I mean, literally hundreds of thousands of people to achieve that state in itself is service beyond description. And to me, that's what drives me, that, that uncommon place that you're describing is achievable. So to me, it's like, I don't know where I am in this whole process, but wherever I am, I feel good because one, this process itself, like somewhere, I think I just read a quote that it's not just the destination, it's the journey that you need to enjoy, right? And I think that destination, the more I describe it, is just so fascinating. Just so fascinating. So.
Well, thank you.
Sure thing. Yeah, we're at 8:15. So, but shall I call it? Is it D or D?
David,
Devi.
David Stambolin, por favor.
Uh-huh.
Um, and comes to mind is you speak of an ocean, and so at the top of the ocean, I see the past.
Mhm.
And at the top of the ocean, I also see the future. And the water can be very choppy. The past is probably choppier because it's more familiar than the future. I don't know the future. I can only guess.
Mhm.
And so going into meditation and eliminating thought, my experience has been just once. This happened to me just once. And I completely let go of the past. And I completely let go of the future. I let go of every obligation, every thought. And in the midst of that, I felt this enormous feeling of joy, like a lightning bolt. And it went away. And it happened once in my life. It happened about a year ago. And I understand that's not my destination.
And the reason is?
And the reason? Because there's got to be more than that. There's got to be something that I can't even identify. Some state of mind that defies any description with words. Something that goes beyond an expression of joy.
Perfect.
And I'm trying to identify what that is. I know I can't identify it with words, but I'd like to identify it with my heart. I'd like to feel it in my bones, whatever that is. And so I'm here with you, exploring.
That's awesome. It's awesome. I like the spirit, and what you described to me is, the exploration, and I think within. So one of the things that satsang does is basically takes you deep within, and what you will find is up to you. I'm glad you're here. I'm actually, I always feel that, this collective energy is phenomenal. It helps each one of us here in so many ways that it cannot be described. So, I mean, what you just said in itself is like, I mean, I am so glad, I'm so fortunate to be here, to hear that you had something, you experienced something last year. To me, that itself is huge. And I think we all need to get to the next state. And we all need to. It's, in my grandfather's 7-volume book, where he talks about his entire journey, there are multiple places he says, like, and I can describe this, and I can describe this, and I can describe this, and then beyond that, I cannot. And I think that's what you're talking about. It's like, hey, yeah, and so a lot of times people are happy with what, where they get to, spiritually speaking. And I think it's a fascinating journey in itself. Wow. So thank you for being here. I mean, this was an amazing session. These Tuesday sessions are very, I call them intimate sessions. It's very, very informal, and just, it's a practice session, which, takes us to the next level. So Callie and Cecilia, anything else? Or maybe Eddie, I think we need to wrap up. So a quick word before we do.
How much time we have?
Actually, we're just wrapping up now.
Mhm.
What time did you join?
I was about 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late.
Oh, no. So, yeah. So, see, the whole idea here is that we talk a few things. I consider everything before meditation as transition in, and everything after that as transition out. And what I realized later, but I was always part of these sessions as I was growing up, which had like the group sessions typically would even go up to like 1.5 to 2 hours. And there is even food after that. So it's a long drawn thing. But what I realized is that it brings you into a state, then gets you deeper, and then slowly takes you out of there. And it's a process. It's almost like if you were going for scuba diving, there is a lot of prep, and then you do it, then you come out, and then you have to back to normal. Before you're back to normal, it just takes a little bit. So it's a transition in, transition out, which a lot of people don't realize that's important for meditation. So, Eddie, the last word before we wrap up.
Okay. So we learned today about the negative force that drives us downward and presents obstacles for us to return back to our home. The interesting thing is that downward negative force is what our mind uses to create. So the world we find ourselves in is a manifestation, essentially, of that downward force. And so, the negative effects this has on us now if we live our entire lives in this sort of world. So what Guru Maharaj did was he provided us a system whereby we could escape, cleanse our minds, purify our thoughts, and we could escape and return home. And that's the practice that we practice today. And so without that assistance from this method and from his assistance, we wouldn't be able to obtain that. So we should take full advantage of this very simple, easy system if we wish to find that state of joy and happiness that we can experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All it does is require us to practice a little bit each day. Sanjeevji, maybe he's frozen.
Is he stuck in enlightenment again?
Yes, he spontaneously goes there. He's gonna I think re-enter.
I made Eddie laugh, so I'm done. That's not easy, fans. Okay, namaste.
Bye-bye.
I'm out.
Bye-bye. Have a good evening.